It's so nice and easy shooting high frame rate, slow motion outside because we have all that light. We need that to get our high shutter speed so we get the right amount of motion blur. In fact, the highest I've ever shot in high frame rate was just over 5,000 frames per second, which means I had to have a shutter speed equivalent to 1/10,000th of a second. And that means I need a lot of light. I actually had direct sunshine onto my subject to get my correct exposure. Indoors, like we are right now, to have that sort of light is going to be too much. So the frame rates I'm going to shoot at, highest will be about 250. Most of it will be 180 frames per second, as well as some 50 frames per second. The thing is though, slow motion is overused. And what I'm going to be seeing today, a lot of it is about speed. And I want to see that. So it's judging the right amount of stuff to be in normal speed and in high frame rate, making sure you get the right balance. Let the performance begin. So I'm shooting using anamorphic lenses, a 35, a 50 and a 70mm on 2x crop sensor micro four thirds. So I think that field of view is going to be the widest I have is field of view equivalent on the full frame of 70mm. And anamorphics are really lovely. They're great for creating this beautiful, very cinemascope looking image. It's actually a 2x anamorphic. A lot of them are like 1.33, 1.66. So this is really super wide. One of the things we're not really going to see until we get up close is some of the classic lens flares that go with anamorphics. Because the anamorphics, what they do is they record the image so it looks stretched, and then you need to squeeze it down in post. My monitor right now is squeezing it for me so I can see what it's like, but this is what it looks like before we squeeze it. Anamorphics came about when the movie companies wanted to fight back against TV. They wanted to do something different. TV is very square, and so they wanted this nice, wide-looking image, but that could use up a lot of film. So what they did is they created a lens which uses up the same amount of film, but just stretches it. And what you need to do when you're projecting it back is squeeze it down. The way we're doing it in digital is we're simply squeezing it down in post. And the camera's great because it does have a proper anamorphic mode. A lot of video cameras will just put it onto the 16:9 sensor and just lose the left and right. This uses the whole sensor, so we're not losing any resolution. So this is really like a proper, true anamorphic setup. To maximize time, I'm going to go through all of the routines. As the wide, I will change lenses and do a little bit of close-ups from here, but not too close. Then we'll go up and repeat them all as a nice close-up on the stage and get some light flare and some more interesting looks. That looks terrific. Very nice. You do that last bit where you just sit down, just one twirl, and then crouch because it's such a lovely shot. Okay, in your own time. Okay, whenever you're ready, count to 5 and then start. I'll do that last bit one more time. I was a bit too high. That was really good though, like that. So that's great for the wise, looks terrific. And I'm gonna get some real close-ups now. Switching between 4K, 50 frames a second, with sound, which we're recording, and the overcrank, 180 frames per second in HD. It's nice to get a bit of both. Obviously I'm losing resolution when I go to HD, but I'm getting all those extra frames. So that's kind of the sort of the toss-up, and obviously it'd be nice if I had a camera that would shoot 4K, 180 frames as well, but I don't. So I'm just mixing it up. I have to change my ISO for each one because of my shutter speed. Now you can shoot 100th of a second in 4K 50, but I need 360th of a second, and I'm shooting 180 frames per second. So I do need to push my ISO up by about 1.5 stops to 2 stops. The house lights have been put on and I'm shooting in my 180 frames per second. This is the flicker that we don't want. But when we put on our proper lights, that goes. Domestics flicker, professional lights, hopefully, don't. So this is our last setup of the day, and it's gone really well. Despite the fact I don't have a wide lens on, I think I'm getting a nice variety. My wide being simply moving back into the theatre and looking back. And I think the contrast of the flat lighting front on and the beautiful backlight really does work together. Had no interference issues with any of the lights. So it's actually been a dream. Normally when you have these things, there's always something that gets annoying, irritates when it comes to flicker and high frame rate shooting. But here, it's gone very, very smoothly, despite the fact I have lenses which aren't very fast on a camera that doesn't have great sensitivity. Because I do have this strong light, it's working really well. So, okay, Ed, when you're ready, let's do the last setup. I really love this frame, this long frame. I talked about it in episode 1 about CinemaScope, and how Fritz Lang said that it's no good for normal filming, it's only good for filming snakes and funeral processions. I'm going to add to that. I think it's great for filming acrobats and jugglers in a theatre in slow motion.